Hi. Since the start of 2025, we've seen an unprecedented amount of change and economic volatility and geopolitical uncertainty, certainly since anything that happened since the pandemic. That's played out with a supposed tariff war in the US, with the ramifications of that still being felt by markets and nations around the world. A challenging environment with rate cuts. Some rate cuts have happened quicker than anticipated with the ECB, not as quickly anticipated, for example, with the UK or in Australia, and then not at all with the US Federal Reserve. And obviously, that has a huge impact on how consumers think about their savings and their money and their wealth and how they behave. My name is Charles Green. I'm one of the two co-founders of RFI Global. And what we thought would be great was to look at a mid-year review of the Financial Services Trends and Predictions report that we released at the start of the year. In a series of short videos, our global experts from around the world will explain some of the key trends and, most importantly, what we're seeing in the data. We talked to 200,000 consumers and 60 key businesses across 20 key markets, and we identified 5 key trends to look at for 2025. And what we wanted to show was how those trends are playing out, from everything to do with the rise of the neobanks in the US and the appetite for digital wealth and investments there, the emergence of the emerging affluent segments, how to engender loyalty and the appetite for switching that is occurring in markets around the world, and finally looking at cross-border payments and how that's starting to be impacted, particularly on the business side by these tariffs. I think as we look at these trends and as our experts share what's happening in the data and how these trends are evolving and mutating over time, what's clear is there are some consistent themes. Firstly, that there is an unprecedented amount of change, and that is impacting how consumers and businesses are reacting, and that impacts how banks and financial institutions need to respond with their value propositions in order to maintain loyalty, to maintain share of wallet, and to maintain acquisition of customers. What's very, very clear is that digitization is just increasing more and more. And that digitization is increasing more and more in the mobile space, and the consumer appetite, whilst there are some concerns for generative AI to help them, is also increasing. When we look at loyalty, it becomes even more apparent how important it is. Fintechs emerged in 2015, heralded much in the media, and over the last 10 years, they've been gradually gaining traction. 2025, as we see from talking to our experts, is very much the year of the fintech and the year of the neobank, and they're really starting to make significant inroads into the traditional incumbents. One of the ways the incumbents and other financial institutions can resist that is through loyalty. As we listen to our experts, you'll see some markets where there's some genuinely groundbreaking innovation occurring that's starting to gain real traction, and other markets where there's still a need to focus on that loyalty. But what's completely apparent is that we really, really need to focus on personalization. And that's where generative AI comes in. While some consumers obviously have concerns about Gen AI and its implications around security and fraud, at the same time, if it can help drive personalization, that will help drive loyalty, that will prevent switching, that will also help drive acquisition. So when we look at cross-border payments, one of the areas most impacted by the tariff war and the implications of that that's occurring globally at the moment, it's quite clear that there are still some, whilst again there's a greater need for digitalization, there's a greater need for personalization, there are some still significant unmet needs in some really large value pools, and any provider that can listen to our experts and use that and insight and data to tap into meeting those unmet needs will still see significant acquisition and significant revenues coming to them. We hope that you enjoy this series of short videos. If you have any interest in finding out more or hearing more about the data, please don't hesitate to get in touch either through our website or through LinkedIn or directly with any of the experts. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy.